Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of Hosea as part of our larger study of the writing prophets to the northern kingdom. And we did chapter 4 yesterday. We're in the bulk of the book, chapters 4 through 13, in which God is making his case against the adulterous people and and he's just going through all the emotions that the wronged spouse would go through. Sometimes he sees himself as a father who's been disrespected and deserted as well, and which we'll see in chapter 11. But here in chapters 4, 5, the early chapters, he's still the husband, dealing with the adulterous wife. One of the things that I failed to mention yesterday that I want to go ahead and point out that we'll see in chapter 5 is that the sins of the idolatrous people, it involved more than idolatry. As I said yesterday, he says to the unfaithful bride to the northern kingdom, you didn't just commit adultery. You, in the process, you did this, 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 and this. And he mentions deception, murder, stealing, and violence as being the fruit of or subsidiary to their idolatry. And we know from the book of Amos that we're going to read afterwards, chapter 2, that their sins were many, and that both of these um, prophets are prophesying when the money's good and the northern kingdom has a lot of security and power. That's only going to last a few years, but their sins are many, and some of them are economic sins. So let's read chapter 5. Hear this, O priests, give heed, O house of Israel, listen, O house of the king. Uh, the judgment applies to you. You have been a snare at Mizpah, a net spread on Mount Tabor, and the revolters have gone into deep depravity. But I will chastise all of them. I know Ephraim and Israel is not hidden from me. For now, O Ephraim, you have played the harlot. Israel has defied itself. Their deed will not allow them to return to God, to their God. For a spirit of harlotry is within them, and they do not know the Lord. Moreover, the pride of Israel testifies against him, and Israel and Ephraim stumble in their iniquity. Judah also has stumbled with them. They will go with their flocks and herds to seek Yahweh, but they will not find him, for he has withdrawn from them. They have dealt treacherously against Yahweh, against the Lord. They have borne illegitimate children. Now the new moon will devour them with their land. Blow the horn in Gibeah, the trumpet in Ramah. Sound the alarm in Bethaven. Behind you, Benjamin, Ephraim will become a desolation in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel, I declare what is sure. The prince, like those who move a boundary. On them I will pour out my wrath like water. Ephraim is oppressed and crushed in determined to follow man's command. Therefore I am like a moth to Ephraim, like rottenness to the house of Judah. When Ephraim saw his sickness and Judah his wound, Ephraim went to Assyria and sent to King Yareb. But he isn't able to heal you or cure you of your wound. I will be like a lion to Ephraim and a young lion to the house of away, and there will be none to deliver. I will go away and return to my place until they acknowledge their guilt and seek my face. In their affliction they will earnestly seek me. There's going to be judgment, and it is going to be immutable on the kingdom as a kingdom. But individuals who repent can return, and there will be a moment when the Messiah comes, and there will be a gathering in of all God's faithful, and so He's able to talk about an immutable judgment that's about to take place. I am going to come. I am going to do it myself. I'm going to rip it to shreds. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in Israel, and it's going to happen in Judah. But also at the same time, talk about restoration and talk about forgiveness. Um, he mentions everybody. Talking to the religious leaders, I'm talking to the king, I'm talking to all the people. And he mentions again several place names, Mizpah. Mizpah is so important. It's important all the way back in Genesis. It's the place where um, where Laban catches up with Jacob and is looking for his household idols that Rachel has stolen, and he doesn't find them. And he says, "May the Lord watch between you and me while we are apart from each other." And that's not a blessing. That is a warning. That is something of a curse. God sees, is what he's saying. So don't forget that. You may not be able to see me, but God knows what goes on between the two of us. Tabor, we've already mentioned. Beth Aven, we've already mentioned. Um, Ephraim, as a designation for the northern kingdom, quite clearly it communicated, and it's used multiple times. He talks about their pride. He talks about how they are so deep in that right now they're not going to repent. They are not going to repent because they're too deep in their sin, too deep in their spirit of adultery, and they are going to contaminate their sister kingdom to the south. Um, when he talks about Ramah, that's important because Ramah is where Samson Samuel lived, who judged quite successfully for an entire generation God's people, and they were faithful for that generation. And Benjamin is the southernmost kingdom. Look behind you, Benjamin. Destruction's at your back. So anyway, he tells them this: you're not coming. You're not going to fix this because you're too deep in, and there's going to be consequences. And I'm going to pour out my wrath like water. It's going to go everywhere. And you know, it's going to envelop everything. It will be a flood of judgment that you will not be able to crawl out of. Um, and then he compares himself to a lion, and he talks about their foreign alliances as well. That's going to be big, as he talks about later on. They are not just unfaithful to him in worshiping other gods; they are unfaithful to him in seeking other kings. Not him as king and not his anointed as king, but going to Assyria, then going to Egypt to try to find protection when they have him to do that. And they don't ever turn to him. So there's a second level of their betrayal in terms of looking for someone else to take care of them when God's the one who's supposed to be doing it. Okay. We're going to pick up with chapter 6, just 11 verses next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.